Yes, welcome to this week's market outlook. So catching up again from the dollar index, which measures the movement of the dollar pairs in relation to all the other currencies, which we tend to call the major currencies. So any currency that has the dollar, in most cases, there's 7 major ones. We call them the 7 currencies. The most powerful economies like Euro, Australia, JPY, and the rest, we tend to call them majors. So the DXY measures the movement of the dollar. So it is the best indicator of the dollar's strength or the weakness. That's why we focus so much on it, to be able to understand how the other major pairs are performing. So looking at the dollar index from the yearly time frame, if you see the yearly, you will understand that it is generally bullish, meaning the dollar is strong in the yearly perspective. This is because of we have this low here that the market has failed to break for long, and then we have these highs here that the market has actually broken. So you have the lows, market return to these lows, and then it doesn't break them, meaning the market does not form another trend to the downside. Instead, the market goes up, and then as it comes up here, it takes away these highs, and then there were also these other highs. So that's why we are saying there's a possibility of the market trending to the upside. And then when you come here, you also have your other highs here, and then you have your wick all the way up to here. So if this high here holds price for a long and price doesn't break it, then we may tend to come to these lows. But as we see things from this yearly perspective, it looks like there is a possibility of this being broken, because it was broken and then the market broke back in. And then if you drew your trend line, you would see this is what is actually happening. So trend line, it has to touch two important points. So we have this, and then the third one usually takes care of its own. So the market trending like that. So even if you have another trend line from here, this is what you will have. So here we have defined exactly where we are trading. So we are trading around, so the market is moving in this channel formation, but then in this channel here, you are seeing the highs being broken and stuff like that. So once you have the bigger picture, you can now go to the lower time frame. In this case, we usually come to our monthly time frame. And on the monthly time frame, this is how our chart will look like. So we have our trend line area here, where the market is constantly forming these highs and following this. And then we have also this here. But while we have these areas, market being following them, we notice these are other areas of highs which are constantly being broken. And if you've been following our videos, you realize that this area, which was acting as our resistance, the resistance was broken, and then the resistance became support. The same scenario here, we have resistance, and all of a sudden, the market breaks above this resistance area, and then we want to see whether this resistance will actually become support. As simple as that. And then now we know we are trading around here, but then we need to also look at these other highs, which have not yet been taken out. And we see there's also other highs up here. So once we have this on the monthly, we need to understand how market went where it is now. So from here, you realize this was the area the market could not actually break, because the market, each time it comes into this area, it goes back up. So now we have this support, and then support held price for long. Price was able to break above this resistance area, which was also our resistance here on the yearly basis. So now what do we see? We see price breaking this, and after price has broken this, you see this break to the upside, and then after that we are seeing price coming back to this. So this is the next support we have. We want to see whether this support will be able to hold price to be able to continue to retest this and go back up there. And that will happen if these highs are taken away. So when we come to the weekly, we know exactly where our support and our resistance area where they are. So we just want to wait for price to be able to confirm. But however, let's understand from just structure why price was not able to continue further from here. So we had this as our high when the market was pushing to the upside. So on seeing this high, you realize, so we had another high here. So market came, broke this high, forms a new high in relation to this. And then on this high, the market comes back down all the way up to it. Tries to push up to this high. It was rejected and price came down and also down. And then again, tries to go back up here. It doesn't. And then finally here, it doesn't. So you realize the market failed to reach this high. And as it failed to reach these highs, that's why it actually came down. So now on the weekly, we have an area of support here that we will want to see how price is going to react on this support area. And if you come to your daily, this is what you will have. So this looks like a pullback, but now we cannot conclusively say that this is just a pullback so that price can come and continue like that. It will depend on how price moves. So if price comes and breaks this, the downside, and then all of a sudden we shall have to change our bias, and this is how we shall change it. This will become, because this is a support area, if price comes to break it, this will become a resistance area, and all of a sudden we shall begin to have this, and maybe to these lows. So these are the two possible scenarios which are likely to happen here. So price either comes to retest this and then begins to go back to these highs, or it breaks. So that is what we are waiting on the dollar index. So looking at how bearish the dollar index is, we can conclusively say that the dollar is going to be a little bit weak for some time. It's temporary weakness in dollar as we wait for this support area to be able to have the ability to hold price. So this is our bias on the dollar index. And if I'm to add another dollar pair to be able to help us understand exactly how the whole scenario of the dollar would be, let me come to the euro and then the USD. So the euro and the USD, it also correlates to the DXY. So when I come to my yearly time frame, and I try to understand price in terms of support and resistance and all of that. So if you see here, this is where price is being resisted from, comes back each time, and then you have this area here where price is being supported. So if I'm to just extend it like that, this is what I will have. So price comes here and then breaks back in. So if we don't see much more information, we have our monthly high here. I mean yearly high. So we have this range. We can come to the monthly chart, and then on the monthly chart, this is what we have, where we shall have this other area also as our resistance area. And on this resistance area, we know price went here once, like multiple times, and then it was being rejected. And we have our support area, which is here. So once we have this, we need to understand the candles from here. So we have an area of structural break here. If you just extend it all the way up to here, this is what you will have. A very important area here, here, and then this is where we are waiting for price to actually do the retest. Okay, so once we have this, you also need to understand why price was rejected here and here, because we have this important area. So once we have this, we can now come to our weekly candle, our weekly chart, and begin to see. So this is the most important area. We want to see a price reacting here to possibly break it or pull back down. When we come to the daily, this is what we have. In this case, this is our resistance area, and we want to see how price is actually going to perform when it reaches here. Will it break it or will continue? So again, monitoring the Euro USD with the DXY, you will begin to have a perfect understanding of the overall market direction. So this is what we have on the dollar index. So let me go to one more pair. In this case, let's look at Bitcoin, BTC, USD. So need to be able to understand how the Bitcoin is reacting in such economic uncertainty times. So looking at the dollar BTC from the higher time frame, which is the yearly, which is we have our ultimate high, which is about 68,000, and then we have our low here where BTC started from, as is recorded by this exchange. This is Binance. Then we can come to our monthly chart. We want to see the monthly candle has just closed, so it is important. So we see the monthly candle, how it closed by taking away these highs, forming a new high. And then you remember the previous monthly candle that also taken this high, and then you have this. So what do we really see on Bitcoin now? And then we have these areas which will act as our resistance areas on the bigger picture, and then also this high. So the easiest way to understand resistance and support and all of that, you just need to mark your highs and lows. There's a whole video which I did. It is available, you check. So we have this. So once we have this clearly stated out with this monthly candle closing there bullish, we can possibly just have a retest. Maybe market comes to retest this and continue up, or if it breaks this, then we can have another story. So that's what we have on the Bitcoin chart. It's very bullish, so you don't want to be caught in the wrong side market. So you just want to position yourself well and possibly wait for this to do this just from technical perspective, and then do that before we can target that or a break of this. All right, with that being said, let's go to gold. So let's look at gold, understand it also from the bigger picture, and then we can. So going up again to the yearly time frame, we've been monitoring gold for a while, and this is the highest gold has ever gone to. And we know exactly why gold was able to come to this high. The first high being the COVID-19. Because of economic uncertainties, investors tend to buy gold as a safe haven. So when there's a lot of instability in terms that are affecting production and investment, people buy gold. So gold was able to shoot up to the highest possible in history, which is about 2000 plus during COVID. And again, during the Russian-Ukrainian conflict, gold was able to shoot up also. And now we have the Gaza conflict, Israel and Gaza, which has also made gold to soar to the upside. So the question is now, we have three major events that have affected the world and how those were reflected in the gold chart. The first one being COVID making gold to go to an all-time high. And the second one being the Russian and the Ukrainian conflict making gold to go to that same all-time high, which is now beginning to be a resistance. And now we have the Gaza situation. So the question is now, can we conclusively say that these three major events, they can have the ability to make gold to go to another all-time high? And by another all-time high, I mean a break of this. Because remember, this is the highest gold has ever gone in history. Gold has never gone above 2000. Okay? So if you look at the ability of investment assets to be able to reflect their nature of investment in terms of their volatility and movement and the problems they solve, you realize that Bitcoin, a cryptocurrency, in trying to solve the problems of traditional finance. And what are those problems? Cost of mediation, lack of transparency, double spend, and all of that. Bitcoin was able to shoot all the way up to 68,000. And then when you see gold in trying to act as a safe haven, all it could shoot up to was 2,000. Of course, in dollars, denominated in dollars. So if you look at understanding of money from the way it is, Bitcoin in trying to solve traditional problems, it actually went all the way up to 68,000. And gold, in trying to solve financial and investment issues, it went up to 2,000. Very big difference. Anyway, so once you have an understanding of that, you will begin to realize we have that resistance as a high, and then we have these lows, which will act as our support areas. So once we have that, we can come to the monthly candle and see how it closed. The monthly candle just closed, so very bullish, telling us that there is a possibility of the market continuing to go up to this high here. So the best thing to actually do is to wait for price to come to an all-time high, and then we begin to see whether there will be some bearish pressure kicking in here, because you have 1, 2, 3. This is going to be the fourth time. And usually as this is being tested again, there is a tendency for it to break. So will this be the break to form a new record that has never been there in history, that gold is now going above 2,100, 2,000 something? That's what we shall have to see, but it's looking very bullish here. So it is important for us to begin to, because it can actually turn from here and come back down. But let's see the possible areas in which gold will be able to turn. So we have this monthly high here, and then we also have this other high here. So these are the two scenarios where we begin to see how gold will be able to react. But now we need to understand why this was an area of rejection, because you have a support area around here, because the market was able to come into this once, it was rejected twice, and then on the third one it was rejected. So this becomes our support area. So once we have that, we can come to our weekly and begin to understand what is happening in the weekly. This is our monthly resistance, and this is our weekly support. So when you come to the daily, this is what we begin to see now. So the new thing and the most important thing we're beginning to see now is the ability for this area to be able to hold price. So the question is, when price reaches here, will it break it to the upside and come to all-time high, or this, or it will begin to pull back down a little bit? Because this is the Israel and Gaza conflict, all of this movement. Okay, more than 180 pips. I mean 1,800 pips movement in just period of 1 month. So that is what we have on gold. We are looking at this area either to hold price or to be broken so that it can continue to all-time high, or we can begin to see a break here or coming down here. So that's what we have on gold. So let's add more one pair. It was a pair we've been tracking for long, that is Euro GBP. It is important to actually for us to continue to track it and see how it is performing as per now. So again, we go to our yearly, and on our yearly, we clearly know what the Euro GBP is doing. It is ranging in this zone. So if it is ranging in this zone here, the best times to be able to trade it from the swing perspective is when it gets out of here. So once they get out of this range, then we can begin to say there will be that big movement of either all the way down here or upward there. But that being said, let's begin to understand it from the smaller picture, which is the monthly. So let's see the monthly. So on the monthly, this is an area we have been following. We said this was our support. Okay, so if you just do this, because this was an area price rejected multiple times. So we have this area, this 1, 2, 3, and then finally price broke below this. So once we have a break to this, we're beginning to see that this will be as our resistance area. And here we have other support area, and then we also have support areas around here. So this is a resistance. You can just begin to, again, go back to that video in which I explain how to mark your support and resistance area. Okay, mark your highs and your low. This is a high, it was respected here, resistance, broken here, became support, broken here, now it's becoming resistance. So it's a very simple concept of support and resistance, and support becoming resistance. And then you can begin to look for your order blocks and stuff like that. They're all inside those resistance and support. So we go to the weekly, and on the weekly, this is what we see. So I've been tracking this for long, and we've actually been taking trades on these cells. So we have this resistance finally respecting price, and all of a sudden we have this. So there is a possibility now after this was broken, okay, we have this broken. So now this was resistance. We're seeing this resistance, which was a support here temporarily broken. So now what do we expect? Maybe possibly coming to retest this and gives us another resistance here before we can begin to see price continuing downwards. So coming on to the daily, this is what we have. Now you can begin to read price from here and understand clearly there is no way price, the chances of price pulling back are very, very low because we have a high here. So you see price forms a high, comes down, high, and then fails to, we begin to see this rejection. So, and then we have this another break here. So we can want to see maybe a retest here and price continues to come back down. So this is a pair we are closely watching and we think price is going to continue. So we have other pairs, but we don't have enough time to go through all of them. So this is some of our weekly outlook as for this week. Yeah, so trade well, good luck. And we are going into the second week of the month, very profitable week. Most of the time, the market is moving with a lot of volume. So you want to put your risk management on point. You want to put your focus on point, and you want to put your discipline on point and trade. Otherwise, thank you. See you again next week.